Hello, beautiful people. Hello, everybody. This morning, I'm going to be talking about Lori Cox, Lori Vallow, and it's sort of a continuation of my video a few days back where I was talking about community bridges failing Charles Vallow. And if you remember, or if you haven't listened to that video, please go back at another time and listen to the video because it's there that I'm saying that because she presented well. I'm not really implying because she was pretty. That's kind of superfluous. I know that some people will think it's because she's pretty, she got her way. I just think that she presents well. As I said the other day, she didn't have grooming problems. She was well groomed. She was worried about her lip gloss. I mean, she got up that morning during that police interview and she brought JJ to school. Tylee wasn't in school because Tylee had taken her GED. So Tylee was all set and Tylee was with her. But what they should have been looking at is why was a 16-year-old that realistically had just turned 16, why was a 16-year-old in the police interview room or waiting room, whatever you want to call it? It's the type of room that they bring you in to discuss matters in private. So why was Tylee in that room to begin with when this was an adult matter and she was only 16 years old? And there was a lot of things that were discussed between Melanie Gibb and Lori that really Tylee shouldn't have been hearing. So both of them being parents, you would have thought that they would have suggested her leaving the room. And or if the policeman had more training, maybe he would have asked the child to leave the room. I know that she was accompanied by her mother, but it still was very adult material being spoken about. And essentially it was speaking about the corruptness of Charles Vallow, her father, her role model in her house. So my understanding is that typically if you go in and you're not an adult, but you're old enough to be left out in the waiting room itself, then that's, in my opinion, what should have been done. They should have left Tylee out into the waiting room. So she wouldn't have had involvement. Although all of us can agree, if she hadn't been there, if Tylee Ryan hadn't been in that police interview on January 30, and asked the questions that she asked and prompted the responses that she prompted, then we would be sitting here with less information maybe, because she was the only thinker of the three women, which was Melanie Gibb and Lori and herself. Out of those three women, she was the only thinker, and she was the only one that would puff up here and there and exclaim that Charles Vallow was a good person. And she would also say, in so many words, I'm paraphrasing that conversation in that room that day, but she would also paraphrase that he was not only a good person, but he had a stand-up quality to him. So if I am to take that right, it's meaning he's righteous. There's a righteousness towards him, but the kind of righteousness that we all like, the kind of righteousness that we want in our lives. We don't want righteousness that it spills over into blatant narcissism, but we want righteousness that is kept in check and used to create good environments for everybody. See, being a little bit on the righteous side doesn't hurt if it doesn't spill over. So I think that's what Tylee was saying. Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. He's kind of righteous, but all in all, thumbs up to Charles Vallow. That's what she was doing. So without her in that interview on January 30, 2019, we wouldn't have heard that from Tylee. But we have all heard those ideas that Tylee had about her father, or her, in this case, would be her stepfather. Mind you, her father had passed on the year before. And as you all know, we don't know if that was a regular death, or if, a death by illness, or by the body failing, or was that a death by some type of tainting by Lori Vallow at the time, and her brother Alex Cox, and whoever else would have wanted Joe Ryan dead. We don't know that. We have no clue. Joe isn't here, so we can't ask Joe, what happened. But the best we can do is assume at this point, because of the pathways of death here, that we can assume right at this moment that the Cox family / Lori Vallow at the time could have had something to do with Joe Ryan's demise. That's a guess, and not to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's a good guess, considering that we have 4 deaths: Charles Vallow, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell, that are all under investigation. Now, we all in our minds think, oh, this is blatant murder, but still the jurisprudence hasn't run its course and hasn't proved that yet to us. We know it's going to. We have it in our hearts. We have it in our brains that this is all going to come out, and they're going to be kept in prison for the rest of their lives, whoever they are. We know it's Lori. We know it's Chad, but whoever else is involved. Alex is dead, so he's already taken care of, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, we got to understand that we are the luckiest people in the world, that we live in this country right now, and that we had the means of communications. Yes, way too late. Yes. Should they have been much more proactive? Of course so. When Charles Vallow got killed in Arizona, and then Lori and Alex and Melanie Pawlowski absconded off to Idaho, that should have been a major idea in the police's heads, the Chandler or Gilbert. I do get those 2 towns confused. I know they're very close by, and they've lived in both, Chandler and Gilbert. So I'll use them interchangeably because, of course, I get them confused constantly. One, I believe it was Chandler that Charles was killed in when he was renting a home for Lori in Chandler, and the other one was Gilbert, where they had lived together in at another time. And so, pardon me for confusing those 2 Phoenix area towns. I, in the past, have just called them Phoenix because they are part of the Phoenix metropolitan area. But anyways, yeah, we got to understand that this isn't the nicest thing to happen when it comes to bringing a young child into a room. And we don't know if what happened to Tylee when Lori went over to Community Bridges and decided to have that assessment taken that she, in her words, passed with flying colors. I'm going to read you an article. It's from February 25th, 2019. It's by Hannah Kozlowska. She's an investigative reporter, and it's titled Killer Instincts. That's the subject area that it's under. And it's titled, If Male Serial Killers Hunt Their Victims, What Do Female Serial Killers Do? Now, here's the killer here, if I can see it. Serial killers are loners who stalk strangers at night to later snatch, torture, and sexually assault them before finishing the deed. They have terrifying nicknames like Jack the Ripper or BTQ for blind, torture, and kill. So goes the narrative of the archetypal monster who society loves to dissect and analyze in TV shows, books, and podcasts. And then generally speaking, statistical evidence supports that stereotype, but only for men. Consider Jolly, Jane Topman, a young nurse who lived in the northeastern U.S. in the second half of the 19th century. She killed at least 31 people, many of whom were in her care. She used poison and relished watching them die, reportedly even lying down by their side as they were entering netherworld. Toppan's modus operandi fits the patterns identified by researchers in a 2015 paper as typical of female serial killers. Women tend to kill acquaintances, people who surround them. They are often caregivers and are well educated. A new paper from the same lead author, Marissa Harrison, she's an associate psychology professor at Penn State Harrisburg, argues that these differences can be explained through evolutionary psychology, a controversial field that contends that human brains were hardwired by our ancestors lived in the prehistoric era and still show signs of those deeply ingrained behaviors. Male serial killers, according to the researchers' theory, are hunters, follow their prey, as did nomadic communities. Female serial killers, meanwhile, are gatherers. Hear that word? Gatherers. Have we heard that before? That Lori was a gatherer, did not Jason Mao, and did not Melanie get that title, Melanie Gibb and others. So let me read back that area. According to researchers, theory hunters who follow their prey. So that's the men, as did in the nomadic communities. Female serial killers, meanwhile, are gatherers, fitting in with their role in these societies, according to the article published in the Journal of Evolutionary Behavioral Sciences. The paper clearly shows that, for the most part, men and women serial murders kill differently, and it offers one interesting theory about why that is. But it is also just that, a theory. and one that offers a window into some of the evolutionary psychology's limitations. I got to change the page. Using media reports going back to 1856, the researchers compared 55 male and 55 female serial killers in the United States on everything from age of their victims to the education levels. It's important to consider that media reports may be biased toward more sensationalistic murders, and any generalizations in the study's findings are based on several dozen people's both caveats that the researchers acknowledge. But that's also inevitable. Documented serial killers are rare, even more so when they are perpetrated by women. Harrison thinks that there are probably more female serial killers than been recorded, even caught. Just as society tends to underestimate women, it also tends to be dismissive of female serial killers, giving them silly nicknames like Jolly Jane or the giggling grandma. Media accounts focus on their looks. Society tends to focus on their looks. Society tends to believe that women can't do such heinous things. Women are thought of as caregivers and kind, she said. Men serial killers tend to follow their victims, often going from town to town, the research shows. They wait for the perfect time to attack, like a predator, hunting for their prey. They will often butcher their victims, much like hunted game, and keep trophies from their escapades. While men largely attack strangers, previous studies have shown that about 80% of women serial killers know their victims. They gather them around. Harrison and her colleagues argue, although while men's hunting is essential literal, the researcher told courts that women's gathering is more figurative. They also take care of others. 72% killed at least one person in their care, and nearly half of them have killed their children. The 2015 paper showed that 39% of female killers worked in healthcare. They largely stayed in one place, like women in many prehistoric societies, according to the researchers, and used methods less outwardly violent, like poison. Again, these are generalizations. As Harrison pointed out, America's most famous female serial killer, Eileen Warris, portrayed in the 2003 movie Monster, had a more of a male way of killing. Then they go on and they put the stats. The female serial killer targets the stranger. No, her stats are low, 14.5. They're related to the victim. The female serial killer's stats are 58.2, that they have a relation to the victim, where the male serial killer stats are 9.1 when they have a relation to the victim. The male will stalk at 65.4, where the woman won't stalk, 3.6. The motive is financially. Now listen to this one. Only 16% in men is there a financial motive for male serial killers. Listen to this, 51.9% the motive is financial in women. Sexual is 75% in men, 7% in women. killed victims outside of birthplace. So it's 67% of men and 25% of women. And the nickname shows brutality. 78% of men and 53% of women. Then there's the question of motive. And here's where the paper is potentially the most contentious. The researchers found that men usually hunt women to gain some kind of sexual satisfaction. 49% killed exclusively women in the research sample, and 75% killed for sexual gratification. Women don't discriminate as much in terms of gender, but they will kill for financial gain. I'm writing this down, guys. The researchers theorized that the difference in the killings have to do with difference in reproductive potential. While men can procreate nearly endlessly, women have a limited supply of eggs. In the ancestral environment, to maximize genetic fitness, women would benefit from seeking long-term stable partners with resources to invest in them and their offspring, and men would benefit from seeking multiple mating opportunities, they write. They say that the way serial killers act, men hunting for potential mates and women gathering resources to provide for offspring, is the line with these tendencies, but it becomes an aberration, their pathological version. There are a number of alternative explanations for the gendered differences among serial killers. Historically, for one thing, it's been harder for women to be stalkers. Women wouldn't travel alone because it wasn't customary or safe to do so. They have used poison because required less physical strength, not because of aversion to the other tactics. Well, maybe, I'm going to interject here, maybe the aversion to the other tactics aren't an aversion at all because they can use a sibling to do the other things for them. They may have killed for money because it was harder for them to gain it on their own, Lori. Harrison noted that many of the women, I'm just putting in the word Lori, Harrison noted that many of the women in the study had above average education and perhaps decent earning potential, although women have only started to catch up to men in recent decades, and the gender pay gap still persists. Unless you're sleeping with your boss, then he can share his wealth with you. That's my interjection. Harrison acknowledges there are more factors to consider. In addition to biological differences, there are also psychological and social forces that determine human behavior, she said. Her research found that there was a number of developmental factors in the lives of women serial killers that have been contributed to their pathologies. Abuse. So was Lori abused? Alcoholic parents. Were they closet alcohols, even though we know they're LDS? Becoming pregnant at a very young age? And childhood illness or injury. I would never say that the evolutionary explanation is the only explanation for any given behavior, but I think it really provides a valuable lens to trying to understand, she said. But the field of evolutionary psychology is controversial in itself. As Harrison describes, it is the argument in evolutionary psychology is that because people lived and evolved for millions of years in certain constant conditions, the human brain became accustomed to the ancestral environment. It is likely, she said, that those forces still influence us, albeit unconsciously. The notion that the way we think continues to be affected by how early humans lived have been repeatedly questioned over the years. Critics like philosophers of science, David Bullitt, say that we don't know how human brains worked back then or exactly how our ancestors led their lives. What's more, he and others researchers say, our brains are actually quite flexible and can quickly adapt to changes in the outside environment. Harrison says that she firmly believes that there was a sex-specific division of labor in the ancestral environment based on anthropological research. But if we look at hunter-gatherer societies, they exist today, which some researchers use as proxies to see how ancestors may have lived. This division isn't as clear-cut in some communities. Men participate in childcare, and others, women are hunters. Which groups are representative of our ancestors? Asked science writer Amanda Schaefer in a 2000 piece for a Slate about Bullitt's arguments. There is no biological commandment that says women are natural homemakers and unnatural hunters, or that hands-on fathers are breaking some type of eternal code of the sexes, argues science journalist Angela Saini in her book Inferior, given examples of nomadic societies that don't follow what we see as traditional gender roles. And that's the underlying worry in using evolutionary psychology to explain the differences between men and women, while Harrison emphasized that evolutionary psychology is not suggesting that everything is a biological absolute, and that it doesn't prescribe any behaviors in today's world. That field has been used in the past, paywall, to rationalize traditional gender roles and elevate men's innate abilities and downplay women's. At least in this case, the paper's authors make no value judgment about which method of serial killing is better. Whatever the killer's gender, murder is just as bad. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to look up to see if I have a chat going on. This is GRAM Talk on Sunday morning. Welcome live to GRAM Talk. New Sunday morning. Hopefully Graham can stay on somewhat of a schedule. But Graham has a lot of other things going on in her life, so let's see. The future will tell if GRAM Talk, the live show from Florida, will continue on early Sunday mornings, sometime in the early Eastern Standard Time. And in the meantime, I will search and see if I am on live. We will see. And we will see if I do have comments. So good morning, beautiful people. I just read you some differences, and there it is. I got people watching. Sorry about the back feed. Hello, Mary Kennelly. Hi, Dylan. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Mad Jack. Hi, everyone. So we have just, as you have seen, it's 12:52 a.m. in Wales. Hi, Hawaii, Dodie and Barefoot Moon Gardener. I don't know how to do that. Hawaii, Dahona, Barefoot. It's 2 a.m. Oh, guys, sorry for being 2 a.m. That's when my mind is not doing too good at 2 a.m. That's when I get my real scientific juices flowing at 2 a.m. I have very scientific thinking at that time in the morning. So bear with me. This is early morning for me. Did anyone recognize what stood out that we could relate to in this article that I just read about serial killers and some slight differences? And it wasn't much. It wasn't an in-depth study, or it wasn't an in-depth article, but it was information taken from some studies. And did you see the difference? Any differences? Hi, Georgie. Good morning. Oh, good. You've been listening intently. Good. And I'm going to try to hold back and not go into my political situation here on YouTube. I'm going to stay away from that as much as I can. But at another date, guys, I will talk about what has been the thievery from my account in many different ways. And partially it's stealing creative content, but the other part is actually entering into your account, putting people in there as your moderators and as other important people that have control over your site. So that's what happened. They changed all my variables. So that's what got my pants tied up in a knot. Why would someone do that to Gumshoe Gram? You got to think about that. But in the meantime, we're talking about the study. So Human Animal says ego versus security. Strong differences, Gram. Very interesting, Rachel says. Okay. What struck me, and I had to write it down as I was reading it, was the part that they use poison to murder. And that's what a lot of people have been talking about, this malachite thing. And I'm not going to go into that area. I'm for some reason, it might be true, the malachite poisoning, boiling malachite raw stones in water and then making the subject drink it in some way to disguise the malachite derivative. But I'm not going to go into that. But there's many different poisons out there. And did you hear what the gain is for women? Did you hear the motive? Financial. What has Gumshoe Gram said from day one? That this hasn't been about religion. This isn't prowess of who can be the biggest religion head. This is about who could have the biggest bankroll. Have I not said that? I said, stay away from the religion. This is about a bankroll. Who was carrying the money when she was in Hawaii? And when they Eaton, I believe, asked her, why are you carrying around all that cash, Lori? What are you doing with all that cash, Lori? Do you see it wasn't Chad carrying that money? It was Lori. That tells us something. Who wants to have her hands on the money? Yes, Rachel, power and money. No, you got to understand, she was being kept by living in, palatial mansions and all of these grand things that she just wanted grander and grander. She was into it. She wanted the most. I mean, Charles couldn't make $1 million in a day, could he? Right? Charles couldn't make $1 million. I never heard that he was that savvy. But she could. If she had a plan with Alex and whoever else, Chad, and my opinions about the Cox family. But if she had a plan to make $1 million in a day by killing Charles Vallow, she's one savvy businesswoman, if we can call killing a business. which I think we can in this case. No human animals. She didn't grieve for Alex. None of them showed tears for any. When all of them have done, when Pulowski, when Cox, meaning Janice Cox, when Summer Shiflett, all of them have done their interviews. We didn't see one tear. We didn't see them breaking down when they discussed the death of their brother, Alex Cox. We didn't see one breakdown when they discussed the missing children and not seeing them and hearing from them in months. We didn't see anything. We only saw them dressed prim and proper, with their little slight amount of makeup on it. So they were doing their good presentation. They were doing their Lori Vallow presentation. It's about looking good and presenting that you wouldn't do the deviant act that you're being accused of. Yes, Laura, you're 100%. The Cox family thought they were going to get their usual percentage, the usual cash cow, she says. Yeah, they were going to get their cash cow. Brandon was their cash cow. Of course, Charles, they thought, was their cash cow. And Tammy was their cash cow. The kids were their cash cow in the sense that that was their maintenance. They needed maintenance. They needed someone paying for the rents and their foods and their monthly living. So that $6,000 that they received, thereabouts, we're not sure of the exact amount, but we've been told by Nate Eaton that it was thereabout $6,000 a month for all the subsidies that the kids were getting. That money sustained them on a monthly basis so that they could pay their rents, so they could eat and pay their necessities and live in Hawaii, live on, in the part of Hawaii that's known to be very affluent. So yes. Oh, eat lobster? Yeah, you guys will get jealous of this. Upstate Maine, you can eat lobster. If you know a lobster man in upstate Maine, you can buy a lobster off them for about $1 a lobster, coming right off the boat. I've done that many times. Teresa says the psychic medium predicted the location details and how and where the children would be found. Yes, I started to watch that video. Yes, Teresa. I started to watch it, but I'll be honest with you. Within 15 minutes, I fell asleep not because it was boring details. It was because I was exhausted. So I haven't finished it yet, but I will finish it. So what did they say? Another article says that I read, not this particular article that I just read, but another article that I read says that they're into arson, that the women serial killer, it has a propensity to use fire. So that struck me. So we got a propensity to use poison for the murder tool. And then we got a propensity to murder so that they can have financial gain. So the man is the serial killer for sex and power and control, right? But the woman likes it because she likes serial killing because she can have financial gain. So my question to you, of these different ideas, what do you think pertains to Lori? Please write in the chat what you think pertains to Lori. Okay, guys, I'm gonna Here I am, female killer on the loose. I'm going to kill a black spider. So hold tight while I kill it, because this is Florida and we have some serial killer spiders here. Okay, it looked like it was a widow. I'm not sure, but I think I just killed a black widow spider in the middle of talking about serial killers. Here you got one, Gumshoe Graham. She just killed a black widow spider. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. I mean, do we need to say any more regarding Lori? I mean, come on, it says. I know, human animal, I can't take it. Yes, I took a flip-flop, human animal, and it was a black widow. Sorry, they don't move fast. But anyways, it was either that black widow or me. It was either Lori Vallow or me. Lori wanted money and Chad fed her ego by telling her she was a translated being. Yes, Mary, 100%. Yeah, but it's just so uncanny that the studies say that women do it for financial gain. Men do it for sex. Men do it to rape, basically. And women do it for financial gain. And their mode of operation is poison. So all these people saying somehow they're poisoning people, they might be onto something, huh? They might be onto something. That's the female's way. And of course, you know, she had everyone under her spell doing all of her bidding. Based on the police cam of Lori, she sounds like money was all she was lived for, her addiction. When it starts getting low, she gets desperate and acts in desperate measures. Yes, and Mary, I have a low tolerance for poisons. And we won't get into that, but I can't be bit by insects. And that's why, if you want to know what I did right before I came out to do this video, I took the whole garlic bulb and I put it in the small food processor, and I have it right underneath me. The reason it's there is because garlic's supposed to keep all these biting insects away from you, so that you don't get bit, because I suffer greatly from insect bites. Yes, but Lori had a choice. She knows what is right from wrong. She could have stayed with Charles and lived a good life. I was like Sweetie Pilot. We both used to be leery of physics. When you listen to this, psychics. When you listen to the psychics, you will find that her abilities are undeniable. Her predictions were chilling. This is a world, a nation of beauty and money, where it matters most and first. Yeah, huh? Yes, money matters first. Oh, from those garlics? You're right. No bloodthirsty creatures are coming here with this garlic. I have a whole bulb pulverized. Distinct sound we tropical residents recognize right away. Oh yeah, the birds. Yes. And you guys can't see the action because my video won't allow you to see it. But every once in a while, this beautiful fish will come out of the water, jump a foot or two up out of the water and spiral and then go down. But I'm not fast enough to show you when it happens. Like I can't move it. Too bad for both Lori and Chad since the evil deals for cash is ending up in lawyers' hands. Yeah, and Laura, many people have mentioned this time in and time out is why are they able to use the money that they got from Tammy's death to now pay? Is it not an irony to use, you kill someone, you profit from that killing $430,000 or whatever, and then you get to use that money to get you out of trouble for killing that person. I don't understand it. Yes. Yes, Catherine. It is a shame. So I've had a lot of people saying that Lori used poison to kill Joe Ryan. So just reading the few articles that I've read today before I came on live, I'm starting to think they really could be on to something. Maybe Joe Ryan died of a heart attack, but induced by a poison. Yeah, but Jen, obviously, you know as well as I do, the money would have been slated for Chad. The only reason Chad got it is Tammy had it slated for him. But, or let's put it this way, Chad had it slated for himself. Yes, they've used religion. And that's what I've said from the beginning is, you know, we'd like to blame LDS. We'd like to blame every other religious entity involved. If preparing a people is a religious cult, meaning I heard from one person, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to like open a can of worms that I'm not ready to support. But I heard that preparing a people was not strictly LDS. But then when Melanie Gibb testified this past week, she testified that, yes, preparing a people are from her faith. So I take that they are LDS members. So why was I getting double messages there? Why was I getting messages that anyone joins preparing a people? That it's not strictly Mormons and or LDS, however you use the terminology. Why did I have the idea, guys? Did you have the same idea that preparing a people was a mixture of anyone? You didn't even have to be from a particular religion. But now I'm hearing that it's just LDS people. Yeah, there's no way they'd ever be able to pay it back. And I doubt they have anything that's even worth collecting at this point. Yeah, I don't know, Georgie. I don't know. I heard the same, but you know, rumors are rumors. So until I see it in the official court paper, until I see it as fact, you know, then someone saying that, you know, has anyone seen an official court document or anything that would tell us that Chad's kids turning their back on him, and are aligned with the killing of their mother. Because remember how the kids were saying that the aunt was so wrong, that she was blaming their father? Emma will start having visions. I'll try to recruit anyone with the slightest prepper mindset. So that's what they do. So to be a prepper, and Melanie Gibb did not disclose that, but to be a prepper, am I right or wrong? If I say to be a prepper, that means you believe in the 144,000, and you believe that somehow you will know that it's coming, and that the whole thing of prepping is to prepare for that doomsday. What does that mean, Mr. What does that mean? I know what Chad's kids clean the memorial, but are you making a statement of some sort? Are you saying that they're finally giving their mother attention that they didn't give her before? Oh, okay. So it's totally different. Then it's not the 144,000. That's what I wanted to know. I don't know anything about that. So it's just preparing for any disaster. Yeah. What if they prepare for the disasters that are going on right now in life? Like preparing for a potential disaster that might be 50 years, 20 years, 10 years, or preparing for the disasters that happen every day, every way. I mean, I guess you're really into self-preservation. They take the seed and they sort of morph it into the mindset of the 144,000. That makes a lot of sense. Yes. Oh, Jen says, during our COVID rules, we haven't had any religious door knockers, thank goodness. You know what I do? You guys get a kick out of me. If I get someone knocking on my door and I'm in a good state, I'll invite them in and they can't leave. Meaning I talk their heads off. They can't get a word in edgewise. They are holding on to that doorknob, trying to open it. Hey, what I talk about? What have I been talking about for 2 months? Reverse psychology. Oh, I do. I have enough to say that what they're going to say to me, in my mind, I got more to say to them. So I'm talking and talking and talking. And they're like, well, we got to meet our husbands. They're down on the other street. And we got to meet them because we're going to meet for lunch. And I'm like, oh, just tell them to come right over too. Do you realize that there are dozens and dozens of groups that believe they are the 144,000? There are millions of these chosen ones. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's, when you put a bridge between human beings, when you put that your life, it could be more important than another's. Whenever you have that mentality that saving you, wouldn't you like these people? Hey, I got a question for you. Any of these 144,000 fanatics, I'm not just talking people that believe in whatever the Bible tells you. That's different. When you just blankly believe, but how many of these really 144,000, like Lori, like Chad, would you like in the boat with you if the boat got a hole in it and it was sinking in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico? How many of them would you like in that boat with you? Would they be trying to kill you because there's no food? There's no food, so would they be killing you? Would they be thinking so much in the future that they'd say, hey, wait, there's no food, but if I kill Gumshoe Graham, then I'll have food. I'll have food. Witnesses to be abused and treated mean. That's what they're called. Teaches them. Invite them and treat them nice. Ask them to read your doctrine. They say, no, that is when you nicely say you are a cult. Oh, she's saying the JW religion, leaving handwritten letters in some people's letter boxes because they can't knock on the doors. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I've been peed off. Side note, I've gotten like landscapers leaving me literature in my mailbox or at my door. I've been peed that they have the audacity to do that. Right. Right. There's more than over 72,450 pedophiles worldwide. Oh, I do too. Angela, they must go around with a basket, and you got to pay them to put if you want to belong to the 144,000, you got to put money in that basket for them. Yes, I know, Laura. I know that leaving it in your... Yes, they've actually opened my mailbox and put literature in my mailbox. The latest I heard is that the children are upset with their father now. Keep in mind, none of them were in the courthouse supporting him. That speaks volumes. They weren't allowed. And they weren't allowed. And that's what and I'm only saying this. Because it's JJ and Tylee's, the case in Rexburg right now is only about JJ and Tylee. It's not about Charles. It's not about Tammy. So the reason the grandparents were allowed in, because they're the grandparents of JJ. No one else would have been allowed. And that was the attorney's reason for wanting the preliminary hearing to be videotaped live, because they said that Chad's family, if they didn't videotape it, that Chad's family would not have the rights. See, his kids weren't allowed in there because of COVID. Only certain amount of people can go in, and they have nothing to do. They're not relatives of JJ, and they're not victims, or they are. We all know we're all victims of what these people have done, but they aren't direct victims of JJ and Tylee. Yeah, I know, huh? Oh, Lori. No, Lori, they're in the property. They got a search warrant for the kids. Oh, yeah. Nothing like guilt, right? Nothing like consciousness of guilt. The fact that Chad's daughter Emma had posted the same talking points that Lori Cox's family was feeding the media is disgusting. Yes, Laura. Yes. We were all disgusted. We were all disgusted. You should see the garlic on my feet right now because I'm trying to prevent the no-see-ums from trying to attack me. Yes, it looked at. I've heard it said that Lori was a frequent user of Botox, 6 months into jail now. Another reason she looks rough. She doesn't look a bit rough. She looks a lot. And I will say she's a good makeup artist because what she looks like in the morning is certainly not what she looks like 2 hours later when she's done her hair, when she's put the right makeups on, and, you know, all that. So we're seeing that Miss Lori wasn't the natural beauty that she thought she was. Her daughter was. Her daughter, you could see it in her, had a natural beauty to her. Emma's behavior has been questionable since Tammy died. Look up the videos on YouTube. I will, Rachel. I will. That's interesting. Catherine's saying, contact your postal office. It's a federal law. Oh, I know that. And I've known that my whole life. But the thing is, yeah. Lori looks like he'll chewed her up and threw her out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She is not I mean, think about it. When you look at those pictures in Hawaii with her hair's bleached or whatever they do to change the color from dark to blonde, because she's dark-headed naturally, and if she's gray, right? So she's changed her hair. She curls it, which because she's a hairdresser, that means she can do it in minutes. Someone like me who has never done their hair would never know how to do what she does. But anyways, she's curled her hair. She's made it glossier because it's not as glossy now that she's in court. And then they can use makeup to hide everything. So we have seen makeup. We haven't seen the real Lori until she got into jail. She looks tough. I agree. I don't want to say she doesn't look attractive, but she definitely looks like she's part of the hood. And I mean that. If I walked in the hood today and I saw Lori in the hood, unmade up, she would look like she's in the right place. That's crazy. She dyed Tylee's hair. Yeah, she looks hard, Misty. Very, very hard. Very hard. Like a criminal. Like Bonnie and Clyde. It's Lori and Chad. They've always said it. All you guys have said it. Bonnie and Clyde, but it got changed to Lori and Chad. Yes, and she hid it. She hid how hard she looked by the makeup and the hair. Yeah. I feel sorry for her that she doesn't have, I don't know, what would be a fancy makeup? Chanel? I can't wear makeup. Same reason I can't get bit by an insect. I die when I can't put, and I don't care if they make, what's it called? Makeup that's supposed to not do anything. I cannot wear makeup. Never have been able. The most I can do is put mascara on if I'm going to like a wedding or something like that. But makeup, I can't wear. So I don't know but she'd have the fanciest makeup. That's my point. She wouldn't have, CVS, Walgreens makeup. She'd have the beauty queen makeup. You got it, Catherine. She'd have the beauty queen makeup. Yes, you remember Catherine, Melanie Gibbs said in one of her interviews, and I feel so bad for Lori. She can't look as pretty as she'd like to. Well, that was a truism, wasn't it? That's a truism. Pardon if you've spoken of this, but do you have the impression that Chad and Lori have already turned on each other? Nope, not yet. They had a big plan before. All those visits from Chad and Lori to Lori when she was in the holding tank, no. They have bigger plans. They're always planning. Remember the words from Pulowski? She said, Lori always has a plan. Now they're planning with attorneys. So that makes it even more deviant. Once you get an attorney in it, then now the plan goes down south even more. Yes, her outside matches her horrible inside. Tylee wouldn't even recognize her mother anymore. No, but some people can wear it with no ramifications. I've never been able to wear it. I get infections on my skin, and I've just never been able to wear it. Never. My whole day, I'd end up in the hospital, and that's not an exaggeration. Narcissistic social psychopath Lori, did you want to present herself in court where her friend Melanie Gibbs took her down? Oh, yeah, she didn't want to go in there and have Melanie take her down. You're so right. Melanie is now the Lone Star, and that grinds Lori, but so bad, yeah. Kevin says she's being ugly. She's doing it well, Kevin. If you're talking about Lori, she's being ugly, and she's doing it well. No, Laura, nothing. Never have been. I'm telling you. There's no makeup that can go on my face ever in my life. I mean, like I said, I've gone to weddings and I've put like mascara on or something like that, and tried to. I've tried, believe me, and I suffer for a week afterwards. I get big breakouts, not acne or anything. They're saying don't put that on your skin, and I've tried everything. Now I'm so old it doesn't matter, because makeup, on someone old, it doesn't look as good anyways. Yes, I have that. Catherine, I have lemongrass. Yes, I have that essential oil, and I mix it with another oil. So I have that too, but the garlic, for some reason, the fresh garlic does it too. No, I'll tell you what I have with me here. If I can see the bottle. Because I grab whatever bottle of essential oil that I can grab. Right now I have, it's tea tree. Right now I grabbed tea. I didn't look at what it was. I have them all though. I have every essential oil. I got cedar oil. I could go on and tell you what I got here. What? Piers Morgan, even that's. I'm in the UK. The most that Lori will get out of this is starring in Women Who Killed with Piers Morgan. Oh, yeah. And that's way too much. Yes. Yeah, I have neem oil too, Jen. Yes, it's real thick. Yes, I have that. I'm telling you, I'm a pro at this stuff because I've always been allergic. Yeah, I'm fortunate. My grandmother wasn't even totally gray until she was 90, so I haven't had to dye my hair yet. It's still very. I have dark hair, and it's still doesn't have enough gray in it to dye. They likely have the evidence that they need from the duct tape to lace to put to Lori at JJ's murder. Yes. Chad, however, may get away with just hiding evidence and misuse of remains. Yeah, but they might have digital data, Teresa. They could have digital data that ties them in. They haven't released Chad's. They haven't released any of them. They haven't released Melanie Pulowski's, if they have it. They haven't released Janice Cox's, if they have it. Remember, they ransacked Janice's house after she did that 48 hours with Summer Shiflett? Lori would have had white plastic bags in the kitchen and duct tape because she moves a lot. Packing tape. Yep. You're right. How would the duct tape connect Lori? Well, probably fingerprints and when they ransacked the apartments and whatnot, when they ransacked the 3 condominiums in Rexburg, they would have been looking for that kind of stuff too. Because remember, they went in after everyone flew away from Rexburg. I mean, they all left their apartments. Chad's lawyer is trying to shift the blame onto Lori. Yeah, I saw that in that. I heard that. Well, they didn't mention that a raccoon was found, did they? Is he going to say he burnt it? Is he going to say he burnt the raccoon? Because that's why they didn't. I haven't heard whether a raccoon's body was found. Huh. Yeah. I'm the only one, I think. Maybe. Well, no, that's not true. My mother's not that gray either. My mother's in her 80s and she's not that gray. So my grandmother, my mother, and me, you don't need dye. Not yet, anyways. Probably tomorrow morning, because I'm saying this, I'll wake up and I'll have a full head of gray hair. Better shut my mouth. JJ was suffocated. I'm convinced of it. Fingerprints can be found on the sticky side of the tape. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Yeah. Teresa, I believe they have Chad as well. He made the list. So yes, it was like the hit list. You could change the dark and light list to be called Chad's hit list. Yes, it was his order. He made a hit list and he wanted Alex and Lori to follow it. So yes, Carla, I agree with you. Chad's lawyer referred to her as Lori. Is that what you're saying, or Charles's? I don't know, Kiki. I don't know. She's pretty heartless. Then I'm going to pose this question. Chad wasn't in her life yet. And how did Joe Ryan end up dead and no one notified his family? Now that's barbaric. Yeah, I did hear that, Mary, that Pryor kept pushing that they didn't dig up enough to find the raccoon. Well, then Pryor can get a court order, can he? And he can go dig it. Oh, he doesn't want it, does he? Yes, Carla. Exactly. Conspiracy. You only have to conspire. You don't have to say you're the the one holding the knife or the gun or the no, you just have to conspire. So I'm going to try to the best I can. Obviously, things come up in my life, but I'm going to try to have a gram talk every Sunday early morning because people keep asking me. They'll say, "We never know when you're coming live, or we don't know," and I can't really give a schedule because my family life is always, foremost. So if I say Sunday morning, that might work. That we'll have grand talk, just like we're having now. People were commenting that the raccoon was on Pryor's head. Hey, do they not look like, doesn't Pryor look like he could be Chad's dad? I mean, I think the age difference isn't that, but their looks are so similar. I was like, is this some kind of some kind of family thing here that Pryor came down to? I mean, maybe Pryor's not charging him. I know. I heard all the girls. They love the FBI special agents. All the single women, young women out there were cooing over the FBI. Yep. I heard that some are going to move to the United States now after seeing how our men look here. Oh, yeah. Human Animal says, yeah. Okay. Well, as you saw, all the women are in love with our FBI agents here, Human Animal. So you're going to have to fight. Even the Taken ladies were smitten with the FBI. Oh, Eileen says. So I take it that Eileen's taken. Chad wrote the teachings he made, the list of light and dark. Without Chad's teachings, no murder would have been committed. Yeah, the hit list, Carla, you're right. I'm going to call it the hit list because it really was. It was a way to make a hit list without writing as the title, the hit list. Yes. Chad's attorney doesn't want to call Lori Daybell. He steers away from Daybell, part of his big scheme to make Chad look like Lori's victim. Oh, yeah, I know, huh? So true in that. Jenny's single. She's still talking about the FBI guys. We can tell the single women, the young single women. Lori was the mastermind. Alex was at both murders as well and followed direction from Lori. Chad was not there for the killings, but he did plan and pick the place that Tylee was murdered at. Interesting. Chadis, yeah, sadist list. Yeah, they're all sadists, aren't they? That I was trying to figure out what is the one word that will encapsulate all of these people, but they are sadists, aren't they? They're really deviant people. And they look so normal. I know that she looks tough. Lori has a tough look to her. So I understand that. But if you were standing in the grocery line with all of these players, from Melanie Pulowski to Lori to Chad, you wouldn't think you were with serial killers standing in line, would you? Yes, Elijah or Elijah Matalis, I agree. Look, he is good. He is what we refer to in the States as a bulldog, and you want it. And he's quick on his toes. I'm not saying I like what comes out of his mouth, but he's quick. I enjoyed that lady. We come at things differently. We have both had either death or near death experiences. I posted her on my site. I believe he buried the children on his property or his parents' property. Yeah, you're talking about that same woman? Yes. Yes, Jenny. More than one person tended to the fires in the. Yeah. What makes you nervous for wood, Kiki? Kiki, when I had the premonition that Chad buried the children on his own property, I literally posted how crazy and insane would that be if I kept telling myself it can't be true. And yes, it was true. Wow, Catherine. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything close to that. So that is really uncanny. Good morning, Kimberly Cove. Kimberly, at the beginning of the video, I read an article about serial killers that are female and studies that have been done. And in the studies, they have proven that poison is used as the killing agent or the killing um, machine, whatever you want to call it. And that the serial killers killed for much more, almost 60% killed for financial gain. So I thought it was interesting that Lori, obviously from all her own mumblings, showed that it was always about the money. Yeah, that police cam when they went to do the child check at the Rexburg apartment, where that's all she talked about, the $1 million in her 5 children and whatnot. What a crazy stream of consciousness that was. She couldn't shut the mouth. She did in that what I do to the people that knock on my door. I keep talking. Oh, that's how you can get rid of telephone call people too. Keep talking to them. If you get those annoying telephone call people, when they call, don't let them talk. Just keep talking and talking and talking, and they'll put you on don't call that person list. I don't know. Yeah, her voice was weird, huh? It was do you agree that she sounded like she was in a mania phase only during the time that she had the rapid speech? She had the transient rapid speech in that that body cam video that we heard at the Rexburg apartment. That it actually sounded like she had gone into some mania. Yes, she brought up the money with the give telephone. Oh, she had 5 children, but she keeps saying she has 5 children to care for, but none of them are under her care. Not one of them was under her care. You think Cheryl, the mother of the two boys, Charles's kids from his first marriage, would have let her children be under her care? Cheryl was point on when she knew that woman was weird. Oh, she could have been on Ritalin. I thought she was hyperventilating because the walls were coming in and she was getting anxious. So when her anxiety was leading her, she didn't have the wherewithal to stop her mouth, because the walls were literally closing in on her. They were saying, "Where's JJ? Where's JJ? Where's JJ?" And they hadn't even thought of Tylee yet. Yes. Yes, it was their code. It was his code for a hit list. He wasn't saying it was a hit list, Catherine, but it was in code that it was a hit list. No, they won't, Jen. I don't believe they'll have a psychological assessment. What do you mean I'm probably right, Kelly? I don't even know what I'm probably right about. I'm just thinking that if you're talking about her transient rapid speech during the body cam, I just think it was she had high anxiety because she felt those walls and the anxiety took over and she had the rapid speech. And it sounded like me as mania. I would have labeled it because I've worked with the seriously mentally ill. I haven't worked with people that just have regular mental illnesses. I will admit that. I have not. I've only worked with the serious mentally ill. So they're on the far end of the continuum of mental illness, and that's what she sounded like to me. That she was in a manic state. That just their presence had triggered her into a small transient manic state. And when she got like that in the Gilbert / Chandler Police Department, her daughter Tylee would grab her arm. Yeah. She was hallucinating, Patty Cake. Lori said JJ was climbing on the kitchen cabinets. Maybe he was trying to get away from Lori, and Alex trying to put a plastic bag on his head. Oh, Patty Cake, I visualize that. Patty Cake, I visualize that. That's a real sad thing. You could be right. You know how they always say the criminals say the real stuff? Like listen to what they're saying. Maybe that is a true story. Maybe he was getting away from them when they were trying to duct tape him up and put the plastic bag. Oh, Patty Cake. Today is August 9th, the day of they poisoned Jerry Garcia, the day Nixon resigned and few flew off into the sunset. Nixon's lawyer for Watergate is now an apostle of God and communicator with God. Huh. Interesting. I loved how law enforcement mentioned knowing that Chad's wife had recently passed. Very subtle way to let Lori know they had her number. Oh, yes. Oh, that you're right. You're right, Patricia, when they were saying, wow, oh, is he the Chad Daybell? Didn't his wife just pass away a little bit ago? Yeah, they were playing games in a good way. Yes, Jasmine. She says, I would guess that a narcissist sadist would be a psychopath. Lori was manic, but she knew her crimes were wrong in the eyes of the law. No insanity plea here. Yes, that's what was my point. I guess I kind of stopped midway in my point. I have only dealt with the seriously mentally ill. In other words, they're in a different world. I haven't dealt with as much as people like Lori who are psychopathic and who are cognizant most of the time. I have dealt with delusionally based people who did not know even they were in the world. They didn't, you know what I mean? So it's a total different arena dealing with someone who's psychopathic only and that uses all her magic. No, I don't think he took tranquilizers, DJ. I think he was scared. I think his pants had fallen off. You know, he must have lost about 20 pounds when they were digging up his property. And I think he was so scared. That's where you hear the mumbling. Oh, you think he was on something? Good, Kelly. I'm glad there's no insanity plea in Idaho. Well, how come she doesn't fit sociopath, human animal? I'd like to know that. Why do you think she doesn't fit as a sociopath? They could have been on Xanax. I'll be right back. I'm going to just dip so I'm not so hot. Okay. Now the bugs will really want to get me. No, I never heard of her work. The only time I heard that she was had an occupation was when she was with Joe Ryan and she motioned the court because she said her hairdressing job didn't pay enough to cover all of her expenses at the mansion. See, we're talking mansions. I mean, how many hairdressers do you know, unless they own a chain of hairdressing salons, live in mansions, and they're complaining to the court that they don't have enough income to live at their mansion that Joe Ryan had supplied her. I mean, I'm not biased against people who live in mansions. I'm biased about people who live in mansions and want to live that lifestyle, but they don't want to put the work into it to get there. They just want to grab some guy like Joe Ryan, grab some guy like Charles Vallow, and give them that lifestyle. And then they're not even satisfied because they're grabbers. They're not even satisfied with what they've grabbed. It's not enough. I mean, you see it. She wanted $1 million in a day. That's a pretty hefty income. One murder for Charles Vallow in one day. And they had that pool party. I've always said it. They've had, go back 2 months ago. I said it instantly. They had that pool party to cut their shares, to do the bidding for their shares. Strange she liked the huge homes. Then she was planning to move into Chad's, unless she was going to have him build her a mansion. Yeah, everything was just interim, I think, Shannon. I think this was transitional. This was their money-making time. And everything was just until they could kill more people and, get more life insurance policies. No one parties the same day their husband dies. And no one shows the kids that. The worst part, if you are a partier on the day that your husband gets shot down, you're not going to show your kids that. You're gonna do all you can to keep the, I don't know. You're not going to disrespect Charles like that in front of your kids. Lori has little to no conscience. She lies, cheats, steals, and manipulates others for their own benefit. She knew exactly what she was doing and don't care. She's a sociopath. Thank you, Catherine. I that's the only word that I could come up with that can encapsulate them. Like, who are these people? How do we tie? They're not religious. We know that. They're not. It's all a front. Just like you have a store, a mom and pop store. We talked about this a month ago or so. You have a mom and pop store and you're selling, milk and eggs and cheese and whatever. But really what you're running is a bookie joint. You're taking in bets. So someone comes in to buy a pack of cigarettes, but really what that guy is doing, he's placing his bet on that sport team. So it's the same idea. They had a front as religion. Their front was religion, but they business behind the scenes to murder for money, for financial gain. And the only way they have ever been taught is through the life insurance. So they didn't know any other ways to steal other than Lori actually stealing the $35,000 right from Charles's business account. But they didn't have, I haven't heard, has anyone heard another way that they were stealing? The only way that I know that they have been stealing is through insurance fraud. Killing somebody to get the money. That is still fraud. It didn't happen natural. You know what I mean? And they're all in that business. Barry Cox was an insurance salesperson. Charles was an insurance or financial provider services. Zulema's in financial services. Who else was in financial? Trying to think. Oh, I know, Catherine, that's something that you had those thoughts. What was Lori thinking? Living in that house with Chad and Rexburg. What was the draw? He was broke and $400,000 won't last long. Yeah, but they would have kept moving on. Patricia, they weren't done. They missed out on Charles's mill. They missed out on Brandon Boudreau's mill. They got Tammy's, let's call it a half a mill. and they were kept moving on, but they got stopped in their tracks. Of course, the 430 went to blast, but they were kept moving on. They would have kept killing. Maybe Lori would have killed Chad. Maybe Lori would have put a policy out on Chad. We'd be crying, huh? Yeah, they traveled like gypsies. Yep. That's why people have called them grifters, how they moved around so much. Yeah, Charles lived in the real world where he did go to church and he did believe in Bible readings and he did believe in good, honest, get your hands dirty work. They don't believe in that. Their premise is you grab it, you steal it. Yes, I did have a dip in, I had to have a dip in the pool. I don't know if it's 100 here. It feels it. And the humidity is so high. See, sometimes the island will get a lot of wind, but I think you can see do you see how still the air is? When it's like this, it's intolerable or intolerable. You know, sometimes the island will get all kinds of winds from every direction, from the ocean, from, you know, the rivers and from the mainland. But right now, the island has nothing. I see a lot of coconuts up in one of the trees. They'll be coming down once we get some wind. Yeah. No, but no, you don't believe the winds here, human. There's a lot of winds here. Yes, because I'm on a small island, and the island has many tributaries through it. They have a lot of wilderness areas and rivers and creeks, and so it's not just land. It's a lot of wilderness. Yeah, I'm on a canal right here. I'm on a very short canal that attaches to the river that attaches to the Gulf. They should say Charles could not keep Lori happy anymore. Lori was delusional, falling into insanity, wanting to believe she was superior to all, had her high on a pedestal. Yep. I wonder why Chad and Lori did not run away to Europe and try to disappear instead of going to Hawaii. I know, huh? I think they might have. I think if they had time, I think that they really got shortchanged by Kay. Kay did the immediate shortchanging of their long-term plans. But I think you're right. They would have taken off in some obscure place. Or, you know, there's those countries, and I don't know if Belize is one of them. I've heard of that before. There's those countries that there's no extradition. What is it? Extradition? I can't say it. They can't be extradited from. Yes, amen for Kay is right, Shannon. Oh, that was good, Kiki, when she testified, when Melanie Gibb testified that no, there's been no exchanges, that she did everything on her own, that the police didn't encourage her, that the FBI didn't encourage her, that their meetings weren't even in person half the time. So all of those were perfect to show her credibility. I know, Annette. 35,000 out the door. Extradition does happen in a lot of countries, but not all. I know it's hot in Brazil. I know that it's weird in Belize, because I've seen that. They want to extradite, what's his name? John McAfee. You know, he's a child molester down there. He's another, what's that guy's name that, well, I can't say it. I heard you can't say it. whoever the guy is that died up in a jail cell in New York, and he was a known pedophile, and he was doing trafficking of children and teenagers. That John McAfee, he owned the McAfee security system, and he sold it out years back. He was doing the same in Belize, and he's involved in some murders in Belize. Have you? Oh, you can't say it, Mad Jack. I mean, I guess you can write it, but you're not allowed to. Good morning, Mountain Mama. Yes. I agree. I hope there's a lot of evidence regarding life insurance plots. Oh, did he? Was it? That year went fast, huh, DJ? That I didn't believe. 1 year, tomorrow he died. Scott Reich, Crime Talk, has mentioned that you can't say his name. I don't know why. I mean, I guess you can write it. But so I just listened to Scott and I go, okay, I can't mention that name. But, he's a pedophile. He trafficked teenagers and whatnot. And with that Maxwell check, that rich Maxwell lady. And this McAfee did the same. He went down to Belize and he was having all these relationships with young girls down there. And then he got involved in a murder. Has anyone read about that? I know, huh? And their wedding clothes in that. Not only did she purchase the Amazon rings, but she also purchased wedding attire and beach attire for both of them for like kind of their honeymoon on the beach. Yeah. Yeah, Human Animal. I know that town like the back of my hand, Bradford, New Hampshire. That is a very, very rural area, but it's surrounded by like Sunapee Lake, and that's where Steve Tyler has his house. It's surrounded by a lot of wealth, but Bradford itself isn't known for that. Bradford is kind of a pass-through town. So I was surprised that she was there. Oh, right, Mountain Mama. I bet he has. Framed. What, they frame him to go after like the 13, 14-year-old girls in Belize? These guys moved. I know that there was a big propulsion years back where all these people, these business executives were moved to Thailand because that's where they could legally grab these young girls. So no, he went down to Belize for many reasons, but one is because he can fraternize with these young teenagers, I guess, and not get in trouble in Belize. Yes. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's good to know. You worked for Norton, who owns Semantic. McAfee was their competition. Yeah, he sold out years ago. Who had a fake model agency? Yeah. Has anyone followed that story on John McAfee? He's every teenage girl's nightmare. Especially if you live in a third world country and you haven't developed the laws or the protections to protect the young people. Oh. Victoria's Secret. Oh, yeah. I saw that what's her name? Heidi Klein. I was in LA and I was at an event and she was there too. She's another Lori. She doesn't, I hate to say it, but she does not look good in person. You know, she doesn't, I mean, I know that she's a high fashion model and whatnot, but in person, she does not look like any high fashion model. Oh, yes. I like that. Catherine says, what you saw when he was mumbling was the reality that he isn't a god, that he had murdered children and his wife, and he was about to be caught. He was in denial and disbelief. He was nailed, and he's still nailed. The magic is in the makeup, Mama. Yes, she is. That Klein is not attractive in person. Hi, Graham, just joining in now. Hi, Marge. I don't know if you call yourself Margie, Marge, or if you call yourself Marge or Margie. He's nailed to the cross. Oh, I don't know about that. Richard Hunglin and his wife from Plano, Texas, and moved back to Austria. Hey, down on that border in Texas, talking about that, James, down on that border in Texas, I've been down there alongside the, what is the towns down there? I'm thinking McAllen in that area. You're right. There's a lot of, there's like a Nazi infiltration along that southern border of Texas because they had originally gone into Mexico and now they've spilled over into that southern part of Texas. I actually came across a man, this is the God's honest truth. I could bring you right to his house. He has books and books and books of the denial of World War II, that it never happened, that the 6 million Jews were never killed, that the, well, how many people? 60 million people in all got killed during World War II. And in his library was all the books that have been written over the years that denied World War II ever happened. So there's a lot of them in that area. She is a sociopath, a narcissist with mania. KK, you said P, then S, by definition cannot be both. What did KK say? Oh, can you see the sign? Can you see the sign, faith over fear? I don't know. I just changed it because I don't know. Can you see the sign? So I want to share with you guys. I'm religious. My grandfather came from a different country, as all of us. I mean, not a lot of us have family that were rooted here. But my grandfather, and he opened up a small church. So he's a founder. His picture remains in the church today as one of the original founders. So I got brought up in a very religious family, but I have always walked my own path. So faith over, is it there? Yes. Okay, great. Then there's the fear is seeing a woman like Lori. Can you see her in that picture? Have your faith over fear. If you see a woman or feel a woman like Lori, make sure your faith is over your fear, that you let your faith rule you, not get sucked into it. There's a whole psychopathology of why Melanie Gibb got sucked into Lori. That's my opinion. Yeah, she lies off the top of her head. You're 100% right. But in the meantime, guys, I'm anxious to see what happens in this next 4 to 6 months, as they say that she's going to be facing charges of conspiracy to murder of Charles Vallow. And we know that there's more. There is no question that you can't assume that there's more. Yes, Sam Mitchell says, yeah, listening to her evil mind working on the recording by Melanie Gibb, my blood ran cold. Sam, you know what I did? Your blood ran cold. I shut down. And I do this occasionally. I shut down because I can't take what they're saying and how they're emoting it in the same, like I have to separate it. So I was only listening to how she was emoting the story. I wasn't listening to the words. And if you want to call it emoting, you could call it just how her tones of her voice and the speed of her voice, in the liltiness of her voice. So I shut down. I was only, probably because I'm hard of hearing and more, I was only listening to the background of her words. I did not listen to her words. So I have been recently trying to listen to her words only, because they're two separate stories in the opinion. The tones are different and her words are different. Oh, goodbye, Elijah. I don't know how to say your name. Elijah. Goodbye. I'm glad you came. And come back if I do Gram Talk on Sundays mornings. I'm trying to make a commitment that I might do Gram Talk. That's what you're in right now, Gram Talk. On Sunday mornings, early Sunday mornings, so I can catch the people. A lot of people like it that live in different countries because it's a different time for them. No, she won't have any cash. We'll be paying for her. We'll be paying. That's the real punch in the stomach, huh, Lori? How our citizens end up paying for their defense. How government money funds their defense. I don't think she loves them, Georgia. I think she's playing on them. That's my opinion. I think she's playing on them. Yes, Sam, exactly. Yes, there was rage. So the words didn't match. That's why I have to listen to not the words, to the moods and the inflections, and all of that stuff become very important to me. So I don't listen. So I shut down the words. The words meant nothing to me. It was the moods. Oh, I don't know about Jeffrey. The only common denominator with Jeffrey and was the someone mentioned why didn't they take out off to a different country? Why did they go to Hawaii? And we can answer this matter to fact. It was well made that she did not have an international passport. She had no way to board a boat. She had no way to board a plane without a passport. And even if you do have a passport, depending upon what country you're going to, that country will mandate how long of that, how the end date of your passport. So if I have a passport right now and it ends December, someone might not take me in their country, because each country makes up their rules about how old that passport is and when the end date of the passport is. So even if she had one, her end date might not have concurred with certain countries. Jay Lee says, people in that religion will lie to your face, but feel it's love. For your better good, it's all right. Yeah, it's just not that religion, Jay Lee. I've seen it time in and time out. I've seen it happen a lot. On the witness stand, Melanie Gibb tiptoed around the word zombie, but David Warwick came right out and said it. When asked, MG used euphemisms like he was full of energy, etc. Yes, Sam, I did notice that. Yeah, I believe that too, Milton. She's mad. And she's mad at herself for being gullible. I guess that was one plan Lori didn't have. Yeah, they could have crossed there's many ways to cross Melmac. There's many ways to cross the border. In some of those border towns, like I'll just use this border town as an instance. In Bisbee, Bisbee, it's in the southern border of Arizona. It's a very artsy town. A lot of creative people go there, and they open up art shops, and it has that whole cutesy feel to it. But what isn't cutesy is that small range of mountains that separate Arizona from Mexico. And it is so easy to go right over that small mountain range if you have the right preparation. Like you can just walk over. Now, when I was down north of McAllen, Texas, there's that Rio Grande River. The Rio Grande River in that particular area is as wide as, you see the canal here? You see my canal? I don't know how many feet it is, but you can see where the canal sort of starts and then ends. The Rio Grande in the northern part, past the town of McAllen in Texas, the Rio Grande is less than this canal. And it's pretty dried out in areas. And what they have down there, you'll get a kick. If no one's been down there, when you cross over the Rio Grande in that area, it is a towboat crossing, meaning you get into a small paddle boat. And there is a rope from one side, from the United States, over to Mexico. So you get in that boat, the paddle boat, you paddle, and you, with your arms or with the person on the land, they're moving just like you would be on a ski slope with a tow rope. So they're towing you over. Now, I'm going to say to you, I'm a good swimmer. Even though I'm old, I can outswim a lot of people just because I've always been a swimmer, and I have a like a no fear of the water attitude. But I'm going to say any swimmer could swim from United States to Mexico in 10 flat seconds. So if you go in the dock, in those residential areas in Texas, and you you can swim for 10 seconds to 15 seconds, you can get to Mexico. Or if you're scared of swimming for whatever reason, you could take a boat over in the same amount of time. So there is so many ways in the United States. You can choose climbing a mountain, a small mountain. You can choose to cross in the Rio Grande, and you know that runs from Texas all the way over, and it gets right when you pass Yuma, Arizona, the Rio Grande goes dry. The minute it wants to go into Mexico, it's no longer water, it's dry. And then the Colorado River meets there. And then the Colorado River runs through all of, the Grand Canyon and whatnot. But they all run dry right when you hit Mexico. So I guess just in my limited travels, in my limited eyes, I have seen so many ways that I could cross over into Mexico. So that definitely would have been a way that they could have gotten out of the country without having a passport. Because now, years back, they didn't, before 9/11, they didn't require passports in Mexico. Now they do. And the border stations are very heavily patrolled right now because of COVID. COVID has really upped the ante at the border crossings. Oh, nice. Thank you, DJ. Jerry Garcia. Yes, Jay Lee, I agree with you. Some of the statements, you have to be of that faith to understand them. And when someone's not of the same faith, we can't understand. Yeah. All religions do that. Wait till you put a step out of line. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Georgia, it looks to me, too, that Warwick is keeping Melanie Gibb on the right path. That he's like her common sense. I loved it. Did you guys catch it when Attorney Pryor asked Melanie Gibb more than once, do you have an auditory problem? You know why he was asking her more than once? Because if anyone knows about auditory problems, they have to hear the question many times. If she did have an auditory problem, someone with an auditory problem needs to have things repeated and repeated. So you know that he was educated with people with auditory processing disorders. So I got a kick out of that. He kept asking her and she kept looking at him like, would you stop asking me that question? But he was doing the right thing. He was trying to check out if she did have an auditory processing. I don't think she does. I think she's been brainwashed with religion that has gone afar, that has gone awry, that she's gone into religion where she shouldn't have been. That's my opinion. Nobody else is my opinion. Melanie Gibb has gone into religion where she shouldn't have been. Oh, is that right? Moroni was an angel who lost his trumpet in an earthquake on Salt Lake Temple. I know, huh? Kiki says, she better stop talking. Melanie Gibb better stop talking. She might cause a mistrial. Shannon went for a tour in Boise, Idaho. She was shocked at how many chandeliers and gold and brass was in the temple and how many rooms. Oh, yeah. Moroni. I don't know where I heard it, human animal, but I heard someone say that her charge was, and I don't want to get gross and pornographic here, but her charge was to go over to the temple and have sex with Moroni 6 times a day, if not more. Now, I do not know where I heard that. I don't know if Charles had said it. I don't know if it's written in a report. I don't know, but that's what I had heard. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe it was a nightmare. Yeah, Rio Grande. But yes, the Rio Grande is where many have died, but there's areas you can cross, Laura. I've been there. I've stood right on the earth, and I said I could swim this in 10 seconds. And the water is as still as it is right as you're looking at right now. The water was it's not rushing water. Like I said, the river fades in areas. It can be grand in some areas, and then it can be nothing. It can be just a rock bed at its end. It's a hidden doctrine of Mormons, not discussed outside the temple. Hidden. Going into a religion and blindly following the leader is a recipe for disaster. That's how people end up calmly drinking poison Kool-Aid. Yes, I know, huh? He's doing what he was paid for, but still rude. Yes, yes, yes. I got the feeling too, Rachel, that snippets of the phone call between Lori and Melanie Gibb said that Melanie knew more than what they were actually saying on the phone call. And we might hear it. Manuela. Let me see what that was prior, the defense attorney, but that's not what he asked her. He asked her to make the court believe she misunderstood what might be going on at Lori's. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna take a pause here. I need to cool off for just a second. Okay, I'm back. So, anyways, yeah, I thought he was saying the auditory thing because she tends to not answer questions when you ask them. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people with auditory problems, and she's never been diagnosed. We know that. She swore, she took the fifth and said, nope, I've never been diagnosed with an auditory problem. She could have been diagnosed maybe with a problem that she's hanging with people that she shouldn't hang with. Is there a lot of secrets in the doctrines, DJ? Yeah, GJ's like, he's got he's got the book. He's got the secret books or something. He knows a lot. No, I just took a dip in a pool, Jay Lee. I have a pool right next to me. I have to, because it's over 100. That's how it feels. Yeah, it's over 100 to me, anyways. Yeah, but that's what I had heard, and I'm not being, I'm, it's gross. I mean, how does she go have sex with the Moroni angel in the temple? Now, one, there is no Moroni angel physically, and two, how come it has to be 6 times a day? Yes, it is. Yeah, I always preferred the desert over Florida, Jay Lee. I always that's why whenever I went, I know the West very well, because that's where we always vacationed. I vacationed because I love the desert, I love the hot, I love the heat, obviously, and I love the dryness. But it's not as hot there as you think. The nights in the desert are cold. So this has been a good chat. We'll try to do this on Sundays. We'll try to have a chat on Sundays, and I look forward to the 4 to 6 months. The update was, at first we got the news that it was going to be 6 months or more, but I think it was yesterday or on Thursday, we got the news that it's going to be more like 4 to 6 months, that there's going to be a charge on Lori for conspiracy to commit murder. And someone has mentioned that is when it's conspiracy to commit murder, that it can have the same sentencing that as if it's the person that murdered. So even if you didn't murder Charles yourself, you can get the same type of sentencing. I have said all along, and I'm not going to get into that because I have out of the box thinking, but I was hoping they could nail all of them under RICO. And that's another day, and that's another subject. Yes, the same sentence for the co-conspirators, Manuela says. Huh. Justice is being served in segments. Yes, it is. Oh, and it feels good. I mean, it's awful to say, but it all started when they found the bodies and they arrested Chad. I mean, it all started then. And then new charges on Lori. They put new charges on her. And then now these potential new charges in Chandler, it's going to be like dominoes. It's not going to be able to stop. Once one goes down, they're all going to, the whole thing is going to go down for them. And believe me, the JJ and Tylee and Charles and Tammy have never had the supporters, meaning this case has brought on some. I thought the Watts case, I watched that case unfold, and I thought that was the case of the century. In my opinion, that was the case of the century. No. This is the case of the century, because they were serial killers, because they did have Chad Daybell's hit list, the black and white hit list, black and dark. Oh, wait, I'm saying it wrong. Dark and light. dark and light hit list. They did have a hit list. Yeah, it doesn't have the title hit list on top, but we all know what it is. So all of the bad things, all of the ugly that can come up, they've used religion as a front. They've opened a store like they're religious, and they put the word religion on their storefront, you know, and they have neon signs saying we're religious. That's their front. That they were just murderers, all of them. Alex was never that man that Janice said he was a love bug in her video. And her Janice Cox said that Alex was a love bug, as harmless could be. We know that's not true. So their hitman is being decrowned as the love bug. How can you call a hitman a love bug? Like he was so loving. It is beyond any reason how these people label them things that they're not. Lori, I can hear Summer saying Lori's just as beautiful inside as she is out. Well, we've all declared that she's ugly out. So now what do you say, Summer? When she's stripped down, she's ugly out. My wife is a type A blood and severe type 2 diabetes. She will likely die with the corona and is spending 3 days indoors with over 40 people from over Utah and Idaho. Finger crossed she is also 60. Oh, yeah. Oh, DJ, that's scary for you, huh? Yeah, she looks like a witch. That's why I couldn't finish her drawing. I finished Chad's. I don't know. Let's see if it comes up here. I'm seeing, oh, you guys are really behind on the video because I guess it's not showing. Are you moving? Is that video moving, or I guess it's standing still, huh? Oh, there it goes. See, I couldn't finish the drawing on Lori. You know why? She's so ugly. I wanted to leave her half done. My kids won't ever let me go to the store because of COVID, Shannon. I saw a clip of stand-up comedy. He joked about tasing Joe Ryan, although he didn't say his name. Yeah, I know. He did say it was his brother-in-law, right? Or he did say he was a pedophile, correct? Yeah, terrible people. Yeah, it is red. Hey, Tina, I'll put it there again. It's just, it doesn't pick up in your picture. I gotta hold it here because I guess it's not instant video. I'm holding it here. Her lips are red in this, but like I said, I just couldn't. Maybe I'll try to work on it more. I did Chad's. I worked on Chad's, but when it came to Lori, for some reason, I couldn't do it. But there is red there. Can you see it? I'll just have to make it more red. Yeah, the Chads I did an okay job with. You know, the Chad I put time in. With Lori, it was a 5-minute hen scratch. It was like, oh, I hate you. That's how when I drew that, I was like, I don't like you. I really don't like you. The time I drew Chads, they hadn't found the bodies yet. I think it would have come out different if they had found the bodies with the Chad. So put her, no, but it's that one picture You're right. Her mouth goes up. You're right. Her mouth goes down, not up. But it is one picture in the court where she was smiling to herself like she was a goddess, human animal. When you go through her pictures, you'll see that there's one picture of her smiling, and you could tell that she thought she was smiling like she was royalty. And that's the picture I was drawing from. I wasn't drawing from my mind. I was drawing from that one snicker of a picture of her. But I'll finish it if I can get over the anger, if I can get over the anger with her. I'm angry when a mother or father takes their own children's life. I'm very angry at what do they call it? Familicide. When I don't know all those terms, but this has been the worst family domestic violence killing of a family that we have heard about for a long time. We hear about many. There was one right close to me here. It was in the Kissimmee area, and it was of that doctor from up in Connecticut where he took out his whole family, but he's living. Diana says, Lori's face looks like melted candle wax. Oh, great, DJ. Have a great day, GJ. Thank you for coming. Yes, Manuela, there's something about when a mother kills her children, and obviously it's the same with the father, but the father didn't have those babies in his stomach. There's something about when a mother can do harm to her children like that. And I have the same feelings towards a father, but because I'm a female, I relate to it too much, I think. Yes, everyone thank DJ for all of his help. He always brings very interesting things to our channel. And I'm so glad we have him as one of our subs. And guys, I'm going to be closing, but I wanted to ask you before I close, and I don't want to get my pants tied up in a knot like I've been lately. But beware if people beware of YouTube channels. Beware of what you really are being used as. Beware about donating money to causes that you don't know where the money's going. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So with that said, guys, I think I'm going to end because I'm getting tired jaw. And just always do what I always say. Beware of the ugly out there. We've met some ugly. We're still trying to piece together exactly who those ugly are. But I think we're getting a good idea that there's a lot of ugly out there that we would have never have fathomed this story. We would have never fathomed that there was so much ugly here with this story. You know, I mean, never in the day did I think I was going to wake up to this type of domestic violence, you know, because that's really what it is. It's a family that annihilated their family members. So it's Lori annihilating her husband, annihilating her children. Chad annihilated his wife. And I believe Lori was involved in that as well. I don't think anything was done independently. Do you guys think any of this was done and that someone didn't know it was going to be done? I think every murder, including maybe Joe Ryan, it was planned and it was always conspirators involved. So with that said, guys, please watch out for the ugly. We'll tackle some other issues about YouTube. I did make a video on Lori and how she presented at Community Bridges a couple of days ago. And I've said this before, watch out when someone makes a video and then similar videos go up using other creators' ideas and thoughts. It's a small thievery system in YouTube crime channels. So watch out for that. Okay? In the meantime, keep the ugly away from you at all times, beautiful people. You don't need the ugly. And look at Florida. It's beautiful. And there's beautiful people here as well. God bless you all and have a great day.
Things I've done, go back to tell me I've gone wrong. The silhouette that hanging tree, it's not looking good for me. I wonder how I got to here, or where I let it disappear. 'Cause every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. The red lights flash me to stop. The waves are high, folks been robbed. I've been hiding, but I've been caught. Now it looks like there's no way out. I wonder what else is out there. It's not time to look behind. 'Cause every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time I look inside, there's ghosts in the fire, ghosts in the fire. Every time game